Okay, you may take it away, Council President.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this regular meeting of the Providence City Council. Today is Thursday, October 15, 2020. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Matos.
Present.
Councilwoman Anthony.
She's muted.
Present.
Councilwoman Castillo.
Present.
Councilman Correa is absent. Councilman Espinal.
Present.
Councilman Goncalves.
Present.
Councilwoman Harris is absent. Councilman Igliozzi.
Present.
Councilor Kerwin.
Present.
Councilwoman LaFortune.
Present.
Councilor Miller is absent. Councilman Narducci.
Here.
Councilwoman Ryan.
Present.
Councilor Salvatore.
Present.
Councilman Taylor.
Here.
You have 12 present and 3 absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you. The invocation is going to be given by Majority Leader Joanne Ryan.
Thank you. Dear Heavenly Father, we place ourselves before you, for you are filled with beauty and light. Bless this meeting and all those present. Help and guide us to do what is best for the people of this great city. Help us to be steadfast in our duties as representatives of the people of Providence. Help us to come together in unity to make our city and our state better for all today and for future generations. May your light unfold us. May your spirit guide us. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
The Pledge of Allegiance to the United States of America is going to be led by Councilman Pedro Espinal.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands,
one nation
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty
and justice for all.
born.
Thank you, Mr. Clark.
And I'm also noted that Councilor Miller has joined.
Do you want her to do the solicitor's statement on the record?
Oh, sure. Is Solicitor Dana present? Would you like that, Council President?
Thank you. Thank you. Solicitor, can you please state the legality of this meeting on the record?
Yes, Solicitor Jeff Dana, per Executive Order of Governor Raimondo, we are permitted to hold this council meeting via Zoom.
Thank you.
Approval of minutes. Item 3, Journal of Proceedings number 25 of the regular meeting of the City Council, October 1st, 2020.
Madam President, motion to approve item 3 on a voice vote.
Second a motion.
The motion has been made on second to approve item number 3 on a roll call, on a voice vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Appointment by His Honor the Mayor. Item 4, communication from His Honor the Mayor dated October 7th, 2020, informing the honorable members of the City Council that pursuant to Section 302B of the Providence Home Rule Charter of 1980 as amended and Rhode Island General Law 45-42.1-3, as well as the Zoning Ordinance 501.1C, he is this day appointing Ramiro Enciso of 173 Congdon Street, Providence, Rhode Island 02906 as an auxiliary member of the Historic District Commission for a term to expire on September 30th, 2023.
Received.
Ordinances, second reading. The following
Leader
ordinances
Ryan.
were in
Madam
City Council.
President, motion to ask the clerk to waive the reading of items 5 through 20 and to pass for the second time on a roll call vote.
Second, Madam President.
Motion has been made on second to waive the readings of items 5 through 20, and these items will be passed for the second time on a roll call vote. Mr. Clerk? All those, I'm sorry.
Council
Mr. Clerk,
President,
roll.
Council President Matos,
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony,
Aye.
Councilwoman Castillo, Councilman Correa is absent. Councilman Espinal,
Aye.
Councilman Goncalves,
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris is absent. Councilman Igliozzi,
Aye.
Councilor Kerwin,
Aye.
Councilwoman LaFortune,
Aye.
Councilor Miller,
Aye.
Councilman Narducci,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryan,
Aye.
Councilor Salvatore,
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
You have 13 ayes and 2 absent. The several matters passed for the second time on a roll call vote. Item 21, presentation of ordinance. Councilwoman Ryan, Council President Matos, Councilman Correa, Espinal, Goncalves, Councilwoman Harris, Councilman Igliozzi, Councilwoman LaFortune, Councilor Miller, Councilman Narducci, and Taylor, an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 1 in general of the Providence Code of Ordinances to add Section 2-18.6, Hospitality Worker Comeback.
Madam President,
Leader Ryan.
I'd like to make a motion to pass this item for the first time, a roll call vote, and then refer it to the Committee on Ordinance.
All right.
Madam President, I make a second that.
Okay, the motion has been made and second. I have a discussion from Councilman Salvatore. You would like to be co-sponsor?
Yes, Madam President, thank you.
Okay. Salvatore co-sponsor and Councilwoman Kerwin co-sponsor. Good. Any?
Madam President,
Leader Ryan?
I'd like to just speak briefly on this topic, if I may, before our vote. This ordinance before you tonight is really about fairness. It's about supporting our labor force. Over 700 Providence hotel employees are currently laid off due to COVID-19 pandemic. As the industry comes back online, it's important that we get our city's hotel employees back to work. If you worked at a hotel in March and were laid off, then you should be called back when that hotel reopens. This important piece of legislation will ensure that our hardworking hospitality professionals get their jobs back and can reclaim their livelihoods. This proposed legislation will ensure that these dedicated workers will have the option to return to their job by classification and seniority once they are called back. Again, it's about fairness, and I urge passage.
Thank you. Councilwoman LaFortune?
It's okay. Thank you.
All right. All right, any further discussion? Okay, the motion has been made and second and is to pass for the first time on a roll call vote and will be referred to the Committee on Ordinance. Mr. Clerk, please call the vote.
Council President Matos,
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony,
Aye.
Councilwoman Castillo. Was that an aye?
No,
I think abstain.
abstain.
Abstain. Councilman Correa is absent. Councilman Espinal,
Aye.
Councilman Goncalves,
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris is absent. Councilman Igliozzi,
Aye.
Councilor Kerwin,
Aye.
Councilwoman LaFortune,
Aye.
Councilor Miller,
Aye.
Councilman Narducci,
Aye.
Councilwoman Ryan,
Aye.
Councilor Salvatore,
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
You have 12 ayes, 1 abstention, and 2 absent. The matter passes for the first time on a roll call vote and has been referred to the Committee on Ordinances. Item 22, presentation of resolutions. Councilman Goncalves, Council President Matos,
Madam President.
Councilman.
Leader Ryan?
Motion to ask the clerk to read items 22 through 25 into the record and to pass in a voice vote.
Second, Madam President.
Motion has been made and second. The clerk, to ask the clerk to read the items 22 to 25 into the record, and these items are going to be passed on a roll call vote. Mr. Clerk?
Item 22, Councilman Goncalves, Council President Matos, Councilman Correa, Espinal, Narducci, and Councilor Salvatore. Resolution establishing a ceremonial designation at the intersection of Ives Street and Wickenden Street as Brito Way. Are there any additional co-sponsors?
Councilwoman LaFortune,
Yes, thank you.
Councilwoman Kerwin,
There being none additional, item 23, Councilman Goncalves, Council President Matos, Councilwoman Anthony, Councilman Correa, Espinal, Councilor Miller, and Councilor Salvatore. Resolution requesting periodic workshops on zoning practices and procedures. Are there any additional co-sponsors?
Councilwoman LaFortune.
Yes, on 23 and 24, just so I will have to
Thank you.
raise my hand again.
Yes, yes on 23 too, please, Councilman Narducci.
Councilman Narducci,
Yes, on 23.
Councilman Castillo, 23. Co-sponsor.
There being none additional, item 24, Councilor Salvatore, Council President Matos, Councilwoman Anthony, Councilman Espinal, Goncalves, Councilor Miller, Councilman Narducci, and Councilwoman Ryan, and I have Councilwoman LaFortune. Resolution acknowledging October as Italian American Heritage and Culture Month. Are there any additional co-sponsors?
Madam President, I'd like to
Sure.
co-sponsor.
Councilman Igliosi, Councilwoman Castillo, Councilman Taylor, Councilwoman Kerwin, anybody else? Okay.
There being none additional, item 25, Councilor Salvatore, Council President Matos, and Councilwoman LaFortune. Resolution regarding the Providence gun buyback program. Are there any additional co-sponsors?
Hello there.
Narducci.
I think he was saying hello to Emma.
Yeah, that was, I was on the same page, Council President.
Yeah. Councilwoman LaFortune.
Madam President,
Councilman Narducci.
if I could just briefly on item 22, is that okay?
Still taking co-sponsors on 25.
Oh, I thought we were done with that. I'm sorry.
So in 25.
I see a couple of hands raised. I'm not sure if those are Council President.
Councilwoman LaFortune and Councilwoman Miller.
I'm already a sponsor. I wanted to talk to, speak to the resolution when it's time to do so.
All right. Okay.
Also the same. Thank
The
you.
same? All right. So we have all the co-sponsors. So Councilwoman LaFortune and Councilwoman Miller want to speak on item 24, correct?
It's
Or
item
25.
25. Correct, and I
sorry.
could go after Councilwoman Miller.
Okay. Councilor Miller?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak on 24 briefly and thank Councilman Salvatore for bringing the celebration of Italian heritage to the City Council, and especially wanted to congratulate the Federal Hill Commerce Association and the various restaurants who really, I mean, we know how hard it has been for restaurants in the last 7 months. I'm like getting emotionally talking about it. Like people went above and beyond this past weekend to make a really beautiful community celebration despite the hardship of COVID. And it means, you know, it's really life and death for the small businesses. So thank you, Councilman Salvatore, and congratulations to Federal Hill Commerce for the great work they did this last weekend.
Thank you, Councilor, and thank you for your advocacy for those small businesses on Federal Hill. To your point, that is their lifeline. So thank you for, again, your full support.
Council.
Can I be support? Can I be co-sponsor?
For Councilwoman Castillo, 24. She wants to be co-sponsor on 24. So Councilwoman LaFortune, I'm gonna go with Councilman Narducci because I believe we want to speak on item 24, and then I come back to you.
That's
No,
fine.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Councilman
you, Madam
Narducci?
President. It's
Yes.
item number 22. I'm just proud to be a co-sponsor of that particular item. Knowing the Brito family for many, many years myself, I'd like to thank the councilman for moving this forward. Being involved with sports the way I was for many, many years in the Boys and Girls Club down here in Wanscott, the Brito family did a lot for many, many years and touched a lot of families up in the Fox Point area, and Christ, probably hundreds of thousands of kids and families. So Councilman Gonzalez, thank you for putting this forward. And again, I'm just proud to sponsor this particular item.
Thank you. So that was on item number 22.
22.
And now Councilwoman LaFortune wants to speak on item number 25.
Madam Chair, can I follow up Councilman Narducci on that?
Let me just check with Councilwoman LaFortune because
Sure.
she's been waiting.
That's
Councilwoman LaFortue,
fine.
you okay? All right,
That's fine.
thank you.
Yep, that's fine.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Councilman Gonzalez.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to Councilman Narducci for his words. Johnny Brito and the late Euphemia Fama Brito are giants in the Fox Point community. When you think about Fox Point, you really think about the Brito family and Johnny Brito in particular, who served the community for over 60 years, I believe, as a coach and mentor, to Councilman Narducci's point, to thousands and thousands via his role as the athletic director of the Fox Point Boys and Girls Club on Wickenden Street, which is in fact the oldest operating Boys and Girls Club in America. I think Buddy Cianci named the Gano Street basketball courts after Johnny Brito, and he's been awarded countless awards for his commitment to the community. And Fama, who was his rock, passed away in 2012 after 57 years, I believe, of marriage with Johnny. So Mr. and Mrs. Brito spent a lifetime leading by example for the youth of the Fox Point neighborhood and kids across the city of Providence. And, you know, I hope this body will continue to honor their commitment, their love, and the many ways that they impacted the city of Providence through this honorary designation of Brito Way. So thank you, Council President.
Yeah, Councilwoman LaFortune. Councilwoman LaFortune on item 25.
Correct. Thank you,
Yes.
Council President. I started speaking without unmuting myself.
Sorry.
Thank you so much for allowing me to speak on item 25. So we've seen an influx in gun violence throughout the city, and we're also seeing it nationally. It is an issue that has plagued many marginalized communities for quite some time. And we think about some of the issues that may end up or that may cause these gun violences or these violent attacks on our community, on each other. And there's been a lot of movements to around the State House, and also nationally, we're seeing students who are rising up to advocate for stronger sense gun laws. And we're seeing, you know, people speaking about these types of violences, and various municipalities taking initiatives such as gun buybacks to try to address them. My concern is that the gun buybacks, and there are studies that also illustrate this, is that it's not the solution to reducing gun violence. As someone who lost a partner, best friend to gun violence, someone who was completely innocent, this year, actually, in June, made it 15 years since his life was taken away. And this was a young man, his mother's only child. He was only 27 years old, who walked into a store one day in New York City, you know, before stopping at his cousin's house. He was, you know, getting ready to move to Brooklyn. His grandmother had passed away and left him the apartment in Brooklyn, and walked out. And there was someone who was standing on the corner next to the store who had apparently gotten into a conflict with another person, and the person saw the person and decided to shoot at them. But the target wasn't hit, and he was hit in the head and killed. To this day, That case has remained unsolved. And I'm sure there's been gun buybacks in New York City, but we will never know if any of those guns returned was the one that was used in his murder. I understand the effort and the intention of a gun buyback. However, if we're unable to trace back how these guns were used, or if they were used in violent crimes, or to be able to determine if these guns can help solve an open case, it doesn't necessarily resolve the issue. Furthermore, in the studies that have come out, what it says is that the guns that are returned or are bought back are not guns that are used in homicide or suicidal incidents. They're usually guns that are not used for those things. And so if we really want to reduce the violence within our communities, what we need to do is prioritize marginalized communities. I think about the kid who pulled the trigger, and there's this whole no snitching culture where people are not coming out, people who witness these events and they don't say anything. And that was the case for Kyle. But one thing, upon investigation that we heard was that this was a young man who the intended victim was someone who dropped out of high school at an early age, struggled, grew up in poverty, didn't have certain resources. And I think about Kyle, who, although his parents were divorced at a very young age, but this was someone who was loved unconditionally, was loved by his family, was loved by his community. His parents were both artists, so he was exposed to culture and art. He had an opportunity through his school to travel to Japan for free, and his parents exposed him to books at a very young age. So he was reading, he was developing critical thinking skills, he was developing ways to solve conflict without using violence. And so there was a certain exposure that he received that the other gentleman did not, but yet he's the one who lost his life. So what we should think about when trying to address these violent incidents that are occurring in our community is, how can we invest in our most marginalized communities? How can we ensure that there are after-school programs for our young people? How can we ensure that our kids are getting a quality education? Right now, what we're seeing is that all of our rec centers are closed. All of the basketball leagues are not active. Young people don't have anywhere to go. They don't have that safe haven that they would usually get if COVID was not taking place right now or impacting our community the way that it is. So we have to think of unique opportunities so that our kids are not going back into the streets, and they're getting the mentorship that they need and they deserve to thrive, and so that they're not falling into these traps, really, that they'll never get out of. What I do hope that the city can do, as well as the police department, is work with the Nonviolence Institute, which does an exceptional job with their street workers. I've had the opportunity to go out with the street workers. I've seen them in action. The community trusts them. The city, the mayor should also think about, how can we create some programming, whether it's virtual or programming where young people can engage with their community in a safe manner. And also, the other thing is thinking about civics, teaching our kids to be civically engaged so they understand resources, they understand their rights, they understand the power of their voice and advocacy. And so I do hope that my fellow council members support me and support Councilman Salvatore. Thank you very much for introducing this resolution, because, the victims and their families deserve justice. They deserve closure. And unfortunately, the gun buyback program does not allow that. And also, it does not solve the violence within our community. Investing on our communities is what does. So thank you, and I do hope that you all support this resolution.
Councilman Salvatore.
Thank you, Madam President. Councilor La Fortuna is always a very tough act to follow, especially around this issue. Many of you know how we all feel about gun violence. I've given numerous speeches on the council floor about the reasons why we need a strong advocacy effort at the State House in calling for common sense gun reform. Councilor La Fortuna is right. I haven't seen any evidence-based social science literature to support that this model of a gun buyback program would be effective. I've always supported the concept of gun buyback programs, but I think that needs to be part of a broader plan in reducing gun violence. Now, there are some folks who will say this is an opportunity to get a firearm out of the hands of somebody who could be considering taking his or her life. So from the mental health perspective, these programs could be effective. That might be the case. And again, I don't have literature to support that, but it might be the case. If it is, I don't see a reason why there should be an amnesty component to this gun buyback. And we should be providing our police department with the ability to trace a firearm and run ballistics on a firearm that could be tied to an act of violence. Now, is there a remote or minor chance that a firearm could be tied back? Yes. And if it is, there's not much that can be done without knowing who pulled the trigger. But like Councilwoman La Fortune, I would have a very hard time looking a mother in the eye and telling her that we destroyed a potential piece of evidence in solving an unsolved homicide, knowing that we had evidence. Now, in Rhode Island, some of you might know that our criminal justice system has, at times, improperly incarcerated Rhode Islanders because either evidence wasn't brought to the attention of a jury or that someone came forward many years down the line and said, we have information on this open case. Again, this might be there might be a remote chance of that happening, but there is a chance. And we owe it to the families and the loved ones of every victim of gun violence in this city that we, again, provide the police department with the resources that are necessary to crack these cases. Some of you might not know, but there are over 120 open cases, open homicides that haven't been solved in the city of Providence. We have to start providing the police department with the resources to crack these cases. We owe it to the victims, we owe it to their families, and we owe it to their loved ones. Now, a lot of good work has been done at the State House. There are great stakeholders who go to the State House every legislative session. The Rhode Island Coalition Against Gun Violence, the Rhode Island Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Moms Demand Action, and others. And many of us have testified in support of common sense legislation that could mitigate a lot of the violence that we're not only seeing in the last several months, but that we've seen throughout the decades. The police department has done a wonderful job of curbing the violence in Providence, but it is still a problem. This should be a call for action to our Providence delegation, who we all have relationships with, and tell them that in Providence, we are not going to stand idle any longer and allow the General Assembly to sit on their hands and not pass common sense gun safety legislation. There's no reason why someone should be able to purchase over 80 firearms in a single year. And then those firearms, either one, sold on the black market, or two, stolen from someone's residential dwelling. And now they are on the streets illegally. That's common sense legislation that the General Assembly needs to take up. And the fact, again, that someone can buy an AR-15 in the state of Rhode Island is completely unacceptable. High capacity magazines, again, unacceptable that we are allowing this to happen in our capital city. It's time, I think, we take a stand. 2 years ago, the city council conveyed to the General Assembly that if they can't do it, then we will in Providence. Give us the tools and the resources necessary to regulate firearms in our capital city. Once again, fell on deaf ears. We have an opportunity to work with our delegation, and many of them are on the same sheet of music as you and I. It's time we, again, create that call for action and demand that this common sense legislation is passed. And again, these gun buyback programs, I haven't seen a lot of literature or data to suggest that they will be helpful. If we can get one gun off the street, I agree. It's wonderful. It's great. But it's not providing comfort, again, to the victims, their loved ones, and their family members that we're doing everything we can to solve these 120 unsolved homicides in Providence. So thank you, Councilor LaFortune, Madam President, for co-sponsoring this resolution. I think the intent is good of the gun buyback program, and I applaud Mayor Elorza and Mayor Diosa for wanting to do something, but I think we should really all come together and create what that broader plan is, and then advocate for it strongly at the State House. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Castillo.
Can I be co-sponsor, please?
Oh, boy.
Councilwoman Castillo wants to co-sponsor.
The possible solutions. However, I do also think that the gun buyback program, it's not the solution, but it's part of the solution. It could be part of the solution. It's a piece of the solution. Especially over this week and throughout this year that we had about 14 murders in the city of Providence. I'm not sure if all of them were by gun, but the majority were. This week we had someone that was murdered. We had a number of shootings. So although I agree with my colleagues, the opportunity to get guns off the street, it's really having a real tough and difficult time to say no, because it does offer an opportunity for awareness. It offers an opportunity to reduce the number of guns and for a safe deposit, for people to get rid of their guns if they so choose to in a safe manner. So when I look at what we are currently under, Madam President, and I look at a possibility of removing a number of those guns off the street, it's really hard for me not to support that. And again, I completely understand my colleagues' argument against this, but it's just hard for me to say no, and I don't want to pass on this opportunity, so I'll be voting against it. Thank you, Madam President.
Councilor Miller.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to briefly share, yes, I wholeheartedly agree with Councilwoman LaFortune and Salvatore, but for reasons very similar to Councilman Espinal. I think we need change. I think we also need guns off the street in as many of the ways as possible. And I don't think, I agree that it is by no means the best and only, but I think it's one of the tools, and I think we got to use all the tools that we can at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Councilwoman LaFortune, and then after Councilwoman, Councilor Kerwin. Councilwoman LaFortune.
Thank you, Council President. And I hear Councilman Espinal as well as Councilwoman Miller's, concern about, having initiatives that would reduce or limit the number of guns on the streets. But we want to also make sure that we're doing things that are effective and we're utilizing the resources in a way where we can affect change. The fact is, the data that is out there states that the guns that are being returned are not the ones that are being used in these homicides or suicides, and that the those resources that are used in the gun buyback programs can be used elsewhere. Someone can return a gun, but if we don't have strong common sense gun laws, someone else could pick up another gun on the streets that's being sold on the black market. Once someone purchases a gun, they it sometimes leaves the state, and then it goes missing. I still remember this. Reading this article in the New York Times, and I remember when I read it, I didn't even realize that they were speaking about a gun because it had a name, and then it said, it listed, the people that they were able to trace back to, who were victims of this thing, and only to find out that it was a gun that traveled throughout the Northeast and landed in the Caribbean. It took so many lives, so many lives. In addition to that, the gun buyback program is not going to address poverty. What are the reasons that are causing people to engage in these violent incidents? Is because they're struggling. I could also tell the story about a young man that was living in my ward, and I would see him walking around at night. And a couple of times I gave him a ride home because it was late. And I'll never forget what he told me. He said, sometimes I steal someone's bag, or I'll see a cell phone and I'll take it, I'll do this or I'll do that. It's because I'm hungry. I don't have food at home, and I need the money so that I could feed myself and my siblings, so that I could help my mother pay the electricity bill. What we need to do is invest in social services so that we can provide our community with a strong social safety net, which we don't have. When you look at countries that don't have the level of gun violence that we have here in America, it's because they do have strong common sense gun laws, and guns are not easily accessible to, everyday people, to civilians. In addition to that, they have strong safety nets. They have programs. They have universal health care. They have great educational system. Those are the things that we should be investing the resources in. And I get it. I get it. We need to get the guns off the streets, but we need to pass legislation to ensure that happens so that a 15-year-old kid doesn't get access to a semi-automatic weapon. That doesn't make sense to me. So I hear you, and I am so sensitive to that, because you know what? If that gun was not on the streets and someone didn't have access to it, Kyle would be alive today. He would be thriving. In fact, I think he would be the politician. But the reality is that our laws are so loose that a child can purchase a weapon that can take lives. And people are still hungry. People still don't have jobs. Our kids are still not receiving a quality education. So if we want to change the system, then we need to invest in the structure that's destroying our marginalized communities. And unfortunately, gun buyback programs do not do that.
Thank you. Councilor Kerwin? Okay, now, yes.
Lag. I lowered my hand because I really don't have much to add to the conversation. I agree with so much that's been said. Just similarly to what Councilman Espinal and Councilwoman Miller said, my one concern is that, I think it's important that we aren't able to trace these guns. And I'm actually, just because of the impact it could have on people coming forward. And then I just wanted to add one more thing. This initiative wasn't something actually that was the mayor's office's creation. It was an initiative that a bunch of youth worked for a really long time on under the One Gun Gone project. And so I thought it was just important to know, because we're talking a lot about resources and how the money for this gun buyback could be going somewhere else. And this isn't city money. It's being fully funded by youth who have created works of art from decommissioned handguns to fund this project. And so it was really an idea that they totally thought of and they were excited about. And these are youth from our city, youth that, were reacting to gun violence that they saw in their neighborhoods. So for these reasons, I am really hopeful that this gun buyback will be a good step. I don't think by any means, like so many of our colleagues, like Councilwoman LaFortune said, it's enough. I'm hopeful it'll be one step. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, the motion has been made and seconded. Can you please call the roll?
Okay. I guess I might want to make a request that, if I may, Council President, that the motion be rescinded and that we be able to take items 22 through 24 together and then take 25 separately, because it sounds like there will be a lot of votes on either side.
Madam President, that's not how it works. You do the
Okay,
call to
sorry.
vote. The council
Okay.
members will vote. If they want to vote for it, they vote for it. They don't, they don't. Council members are extremely intelligent individuals. They can make their vote known. Doesn't
Well
work
put,
that
Chairman.
way.
Council President Matos.
Sure, can I just make sure that the two extra co-sponsors were just Castillo and Miller? Those are the only other extra sponsors on 25?
No, Miller is not a sponsor on 25.
Just Castillo?
No, just Castillo. Yeah.
Okay.
So 25 have the original sponsors that you had listed at the beginning, 3 sponsors plus Castillo.
Okay, thank you very much.
That's what I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Council President Matos.
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Aye.
Thank you. Councilwoman Castillo.
Aye.
Councilman Correa is absent. Councilman Espinal.
Mr. Clerk, are we voting on 22 through 24 through 25?
That is correct, sir.
Yes.
Vote. So it's aye on 22, 23, 24, and is no on 25.
Councilman Goncalves.
I think he might mean no on 26.
No, it's
No,
25.
25.
Madam President, it's 22 through 25. That's what we're voting on. It's not 26, 27, or et cetera.
We are voting right now on items 22 through 25. So Councilman Espinal said he's voting yes on items 22 through 24, and he's voting no on items 25.
That is correct.
Okay.
Councilman Goncalves.
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris is absent. Councilman Igliozzi.
Mr. Clerk, I'm voting yes on items 22 through 24, and I'm abstaining on item number 25. Thank you.
Councilor Kerwin.
Yes on 22 through 24 and no on 25.
Councilwoman LaFortune.
Aye.
Councilor Miller.
Yes on 22 through 24 and no on 25.
Councilman Narducci.
Absent.
Is absent. Councilwoman Ryan.
He's muted.
Is it Ryan?
Sorry. Aye on 22 through 24 and abstain on 25.
Councilor Salvatore.
You muted.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
22, 3, and 4, I abstain on 25.
Madam Chair.
Councilman Goncalves, we're in the middle of the vote, so we need to finish the vote and come back to you. Mr. Clerk?
One moment, please. Okay, I'll count on my deputies to back me up here. I believe we have 12 ayes. And 3 absent for items 22 through 24. And we have 5 ayes, 3 abstentions, and 3 noes on item 25, which it would fail. So the items 22 through 24, the several matters pass on a roll call vote. Item 25 fails with a vote of 5, 3 abstentions, 3 no. How about it, deputies?
Councilman Goncalves has been waiting. Councilman Goncalves?
Yeah, sure. Madam Chair, I'd actually like to clarify my vote. I'm sorry, I had the docket that had the resolution regarding the Bannister House on it.
Yeah.
So I apologize about that. So I will be voting aye on items number 22 through 24, and I'm going to abstain on 25. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
Okay, that would
Councilman Salvatore?
I have 6 ayes on item 25.
Okay, I can go through the vote real quick. On item 25, I have voting in favor, Council President Matos, Councilwoman Anthony, Councilwoman Castillo.
Oh, okay, keep going. Now there are 5. Now that
Councilor Salvatore.
Right. Okay.
I have 4. No, I have 4 ayes, I have 4 noes, and I have 3 abstentions.
You have 5. Councilwoman LaFortune for 25 voted yes.
All of them.
Correct.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. All right, I have 5 ayes, I have 4 noes, and I have 3 abstentions.
I have 3 noes and 4 abstentions.
Councilman Goncalves, were you a no or an abstention?
An abstention.
Okay, I will go through the roll call real quick on number 25. I have Council President Matos, Councilwoman Anthony, Councilwoman Castillo. Then I have Councilwoman LaFortune and Councilman Salvatore. Those are our 5 ayes. Okay. Then I have abstentions I would like to do next. I have Councilman Espinal.
No, Espinal.
Oh, sorry.
No.
No, he's a no. I'm sorry. You're right. So abstentions, I have Councilman Goncalves. I have Councilman Igliozzi. I have Councilor Kerwin.
No.
No, Kerwin. Kerwin voted no. You should have abstention, Goncalves, Igliozzi, and Ryan.
And Taylor.
And Taylor.
Yep.
And the people left is no. Councilwoman Miller, Councilwoman Kerwin, and Councilman Pedro Espinal. That's what it is. 5-4-3.
That's the finance man right there.
Please.
All right, Councilwoman
It's
Miller.
It's 5-4-3. 5 yay,
Okay.
4 abstention, 3 no. Councilman
three
Narducci isn't
absent.
present. Right, thank you. Councilman Narducci, Councilman Harris,
Okay, folks.
Right.
and Councilman Correa.
Correct.
All right, we good?
Very good.
Sounds good.
All right, Madam President, can we move on to the next? So, can we
Item
move on to the next
26.
item?
Item 26.
Item 26, the reports from committee. Committee on Urban Redevelopment, Renewal, and Planning. Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris, Chairwoman, transmits the following with recommendation the same be approved. Item 26, resolution opposing the Rhode Island Department of Transportation proposed multi-hub bus system.
Madam President,
Leader Ryan.
motion to pass item 26 on a roll call vote.
Is there a second? Was
Second.
that a second, Chairman? Okay, second by Councilwoman Miller, Councilwoman Castillo. So the motion has been made to pass item number 26 on a roll call vote. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Matos.
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Aye.
Councilwoman Castillo.
Aye.
Councilman Correa is absent. Councilman Espinal.
Aye.
Councilman Goncalves.
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris is absent. Councilman Igliozzi.
Mr. Clerk, I abstain from that matter.
Councilor Kerwin.
Aye.
Councilwoman LaFortune.
Aye.
Councilor Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Narducci is absent. Councilwoman Ryan.
Abstain?
Councilor Salvatore.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
You have 10 ayes, 2 abstentions, and 3 absent. The matter passes on a roll call vote. Committee on Finance, Councilman John J. Igliozzi, Chairman, transmits the following with recommendation the same be approved. Item 27, resolution authorizing approval of the following contract extension award by the Board of Contract and Supply in accordance with Section 21-26A of the Code of Ordinances.
Madam President,
Leader Ryan.
motion to pass item 27 on a roll call vote.
Second, Madam President.
Motion has been
And
made and
that's,
second.
excuse me, and refer back to the Board of Contract and Supply, please.
I take back my motion on motion to pass item 27 on a roll call vote and refer back to the Board of Contracts and Supply.
And I withdraw my first second, and now I do a second, Madam President.
Yeah. The motion has been made and second to pass item number 27 on a roll call vote and to refer back to the Board of Contracts and Supply. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council
Madam
President
President,
Matos.
Madam President, may I speak on the matter real quick?
Discussion, Chairman Igliozzi.
Yes, I just wanted to just let my colleagues know. I thought it was, this matter came before the Finance Committee, and there was a lot of discussion about, unfortunately, it's not the most exciting topic, but of course it's the waste management contract. And although it's not as exciting, we all know our constituents and all of us expect it to function correctly and provide the services to all our constituents on the, on the appropriate time schedule and et cetera. One of the issues that was brought up in the committee was about mattresses throughout our city. And I have to, Councilman Taylor, as you know, he's like the mattress guy, and Councilwoman Ryan and yourself, Madam President, and President Pro Tem, et cetera. Everybody, and one of the issues, and I've heard from all our council colleagues and our constituents about, the mattresses and the excess mattresses being, unfortunately, put in our neighborhood, people, whether they live in our neighborhood or not, the legal dumping and et cetera. And as you know, mattress disposal is very expensive. So one of the things that we discussed was about how we can maybe extend this potential contract, in which in the city then garners about $250,000 per year, in which now we've inserted in this contract the mattress program. And the mattress program will, instead of getting the money that, what it was the contract said if the city entered into a 3-year contract with them, the city would get like $750,000. So what we did was we urged the administrator and asked him to go back and to negotiate where we could plug in that money instead of the city just getting the money, but actually creating a mattress program to help defray the cost of our to our constituents for the disposal of mattresses, as well as the cost of mattress disposal fee at the waste resource recovery in Johnston. And so what you have here is, and I have to say that Cruz administration, we're willing to work with the finance committee and our council colleagues, a collaborative effort, not only to address, unfortunately, not the most exciting issue about waste management, but to address one of the issues that we all have concerns about, which is the mattress disposal fees that our constituents have to bear sometimes, as well as the cost of disposal fees that the city has to bear. So that money now will create a program to help defray that cost. And by the way, and during these trying times, this is a victory for all the council and for the administration to help with some of the issues, the financial issues facing our constituents. As we all know, I've said it before, I don't represent the top 2% of the wealthiest people in Rhode Island or Providence. The folks in my neighborhood, a lot of them are on the margin. As you know, Council President, you and I, we border our neighborhoods, and we see our constituents, they struggle on a daily basis. And I know it doesn't sound like much, but every dollar that we can help with our constituents' ability to keep in their pocketbook to help provide for their families is worth it. It's like it's just a positive thing. So I'm happy that the committee and the administration was willing to work with us and to make those amendments to this. And it's important. And I urge my council colleagues to support this because it's something we should all talk about and then also get out throughout our neighborhoods to help with our constituents who are in the struggle, in the financial struggle. So with that, thank you, Madam President, and I urge everybody to support it.
Thank you, Chairman Iglesias, for your work on this item. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Council President Matos.
Aye.
Councilwoman Anthony.
Aye.
Councilwoman Castillo.
Aye.
Councilman Correa is absent. Councilman Espinal.
Aye.
Councilman Goncalves.
Aye.
Councilwoman Harris is absent. Councilman Igliozzi.
Aye.
Councilor Kerwin.
Aye.
Councilwoman LaFortune.
Aye.
Councilor Miller.
Aye.
Councilman Narducci is absent. Councilwoman Ryan.
Aye.
Councilor Salvatore.
Aye.
Councilman Taylor.
Aye.
You have 12 ayes and 3 absent. The matter passes on a roll call vote and is referred back to the Board of Contract and Supply. Item 28, from the clerk's desk, certificates from City Assessor number 45X and 46X recommending the same be canceled pursuant to the provisions of Section 14 and 15 of Title 44, Chapter 7 of the General Laws of the State of Rhode Island, 1956, as amended.
Refer to the Committee on Finance.
Item 29, certificates from City Assessor number 47Y and 48Y, recommending the same be canceled pursuant to the provisions of Sections 14 and 15 of Title 44, Chapter 7 of the General Laws of the State of Rhode Island, 1956, as amended.
Refer to the Committee on Finance.
Item 30, certificates from City Assessor number 49Z and 50Z, recommending the same be canceled pursuant to the provisions of Sections 14 and 15 of Title 44, Chapter 7 of the General Laws of the State of Rhode Island, 1956, as amended.
Refer to the Committee on Finance.
Communications and reports. Item 31, report from Eugene Monteiro, investigator, para, dated September 1st, 2020, submitting the Providence External Review Authority Independent Review Memorandum.
Receive.
Madam President.
Councilman Salvatore.
For this, but can we revisit the tally on item number 25? So I think we all agree that there were 5 ayes, 3 noes, and 4 abstentions. And it's my understanding that the matter would pass since the majority of the votes cast were ayes.
I'm pretty sure that the abstentions count as present votes and it's not a majority. And if any of the clerks or the solicitor wants to chime in, or we can refer to the charter.
And we have an opinion from the solicitor.
Mr. Solicitor.
I'm sorry, I was having a problem with my audio. Could you repeat the
Mr.
last-
Solicitor, on one of our votes, specifically item 25, we have 5 yeses, 4 abstentions, and 3 nays. The clerk has called 25 as not passing because it hasn't received a majority. Councilman Salvatore is questioning that. So can you please opine as to the passage or the failure of item 26 based on those votes?
Actually, yeah, I believe the Councilman Salvatore is correct.
Yes,
I've asked the
that's
solicitor
correct.
for his opinion.
Yes, I'm sorry. Councilman Salvatore is correct. The original statement by the clerk is not accurate.
Okay, so item 25 passes. That's your opinion?
Yes, Madam Majority Leader, it's my opinion that it passes based on that.
Any further discussion? Thank you. Any further discussion?
Madam President? Madam
So
President? Madam President?
Mr. Chairman, I have Councilor Miller waiting.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay,
I'm
no
sorry,
problem.
your hands was, no, okay, she's because her hands was up. Chairman Iglesias, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, Mr. Solicitor, is it based on the as you know, abstention is still a cast of a vote. So that's different than a recusal. And it's also different than an absence. So the question is, per Robert's Rules of Order, could you please consult the Robert's Rules of Order first, sir, and cite on chapter and verse that portion? I'm fine either way. I just want to make sure that we all understand what the Robert's Rules of Order are, because it's about the total cast of votes, and it's about casting of votes in the totality of them. So do you have Robert's Rules of Order in front of you, sir? And then can you please, and that's where you start there first, and then you go to the City Council rules, and that's where you go. So could you do that first before, or do you want to take a moment to research it and verify it? If it's approved, it's approved. If it's not, it's not. I'm fine. I just want to make sure that we are following the appropriate rules and regulations. That sounds a little bit off the cuff for everybody.
Yeah, no,
So
that sounds fine, Mr. Chairman. I was basing on the council rules. I would need to take a moment to consult Robert's rules to respond to your request.
Yeah, that's all I would ask, just to make sure. By the way, we should all know that answer anyway, just in general for future reference. And I'm fine with it. I just want to make sure we should know that, and it is what it is. So I would just ask that maybe, Madam President, what we can do is we can, if Mr. Solicitor, if you need time, we can have he's got the tally. We can move on with this council meeting, and the city solicitor can then render his opinion that yes, it passed, it didn't pass, or either or, and then we can just move on. I mean, it's late in the hour. That's just my suggestion, Madam President. That's all.
Mr. Chairman, we are at the end of the meeting, so this would be the last item for us to
Madam President, I
discuss right now. Councilor Miller.
I did want to speak briefly on item 31.
On item 31? Okay, so Councilor Miller on item 31.
I just wanted to, I'm sure my colleagues and all of you have read it and seen it. I just want to point attention to the report that we received from Para. In particular, there are some details in that report that I think are very unsettling about the manner of arrest and assault on a resident in the neighborhood back in May. I think there are some very clear recommendations from Para that I think would be agreed upon by many of the, many of my colleagues here, but also, in the police department that speak specifically to, when an officer sees misconduct by a colleague, there could be a duty to intervene. And it's something that has been, moving forward in other cities around the country. It's something that makes a lot of sense. It's something that I think we need, right? Because otherwise, when we talk about changing a culture of an institution, you do it by building some faith and some trust with the community. And if if the majority, if what we have right now is that people don't have that trust, and we see that, currently on a nightly basis, there are members of our community who have lost faith in one of our institutions. We can rebuild trust by taking note of what Para offered to us, and I think having that conversation with other bodies in the city.
Thank you, Counselor. Do we check back with the clerk? Mr. Clerk, do you have feedback for us?
Yes, if I may, I can cite the passage that Councilor Salvatore correctly referred to. According to Robert's rules, a majority vote is normally required to adopt a motion or to elect to office. It is defined as more than half of the votes cast by persons entitled to vote, excluding blanks or abstentions. At a regular or properly called meeting, Robert's New Rules of Order, 11th edition, page 100, 11.7 through 12. There may be fewer votes cast than the number of members present, since some may choose not to vote, resulting in abstentions. Only a majority of those actually voting is required. I can go on with an example, but I think that we all have clarity on that now, but I'm happy to continue.
Mr. Solicitor, are you in agreement?
Yes.
So the clerk has clarified Mr. Solicitor's in agreement. So that item number 25,
Yes.
number 25 then passes.
Madam President,
Linda Ryan.
motion to adjourn in memory of Gladys Johnson Hill, the loving sister of our esteemed colleague, Councilwoman Mary Kay Harris. On behalf of the City Council, we wish to offer our condolences to our colleague and her family on the passing of Miss Gladys Johnson Hill.
I second that, Madam President.
This motion has been made and second. We're going to adjourn in memory of Gladys Johnson Hill, and we send condolences to Councilwoman Harris' family. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? There I have it.